Welcome to the latest episode of Trojans Wired, the podcast, which is an in-house production of the website Trojans Wire. We are part of the College Wire Network. So it's bracket time. It's Christmas for college basketball fans, but there's a little bit of a Grinch around the USC program, and just with the terrible bracket and Lindsey Gottlieb, to her great credit, she did not pull punches. She just said it right out. Don't get it. Don't understand it. Feel disrespected. Yes. So like Lindsey Gottlieb, she's a straight shooter. I love that about her. She tells it like it is. And USC fans definitely respect that. And so, we're going to talk about UNC Greensboro, first round, Saturday, noon, ABC Sports. Cece's going to be there in the Galen Center. We're also going to talk about the women's bracket in a little bit. But first, the national media is going in, and like Lindsey Gottlieb says something obvious that you and I agree with, that USC fans agree with, but for a lot of other people, it seems like whining sour grapes. Come on, like this, Lindsey Gottlieb's just telling the truth and doesn't seem to be getting a whole lot of respect for it. So like that disrespect from the national crowd just seems to be adding up for USC, which hopefully is motivating his team, CC Clay.
Yeah, what's interesting to me is, sorry, I'm drinking ginger ale and it's going to make me burp. But Don Staley wasn't happy either. And you don't see as many people coming out bashing her as you do. And that's the thing that makes me mad. It's like, okay, you're showing favoritism now, for one to talk about how they feel like they've been disrespected, to the other person who feels the same way, but this person is wrong for saying it. But Dawn Staley's right because she should have been the number one overall seed. That's what makes me mad. It's like, why? Why is that? To me, it's like, I don't know. It's just really weird. It's really weird how that is. And then the other thing is the analyst. I went back and watched the bracketology show that after the bracketology, and the analysts were talking about which team or coach should have a chip on their shoulder. And nobody mentioned Lindsay or USC. It was all South Carolina should have a chip on their shoulder. You know what I mean? I'm just like, wow, this is either political, or it's like, people are really putting Don Staley and South Carolina on a pedestal to me that they shouldn't. I mean, I have mad respect for Don Staley and what she's done with South Carolina, but she's not on you can't put her on a pedestal, and make it all right for her to say certain things. But if another coach says it, whether it's Lindsey Gottlieb or Vic Shaver or Gino, if they say something, it's, we're gonna scold you for saying that. You know what I mean? It's just crazy to me. You're right. She's a straight shooter. She spoke her mind. It is what it is. We got the bracket that we got. And okay, she said what she said, and let's move on. But it's still troubling to me how, it's just crazy to me. I just retweeted on my tweet just now, someone talking about Coach Gottlieb's inefficiencies. I've been talking about Coach Gottlieb's inefficiencies all year long. So I went back and said, explain to me what you think the inefficiencies are, and please explain why you had when you had an opportunity to ask her about why she doesn't do things or why she does do things at a post conference press conference. It was crickets. You didn't. I mean, so I call people out like that because to me that's just bullshit. Excuse my French. I mean, you got Twitter fingers, but then you have the opportunity to ask her certain questions on why she does things the way she does, and it's crickets. You don't. You smile in her face. And I don't like people like that. Especially in the media. Do your job. Ask the tough questions if you want to know, but don't talk about it, to people who really don't understand the game,
And just,
and the masses don't.
don't just be a keyboard warrior, like say it face to
Yeah,
face. And if so,
yeah,
obviously, if you get the chance and then you don't do it, you just lose all credibility.
yeah,
Brief word from me about the Dawn Staley thing. I just think it's shrewd of her to take this very slight thing and, she's putting it all on her. She's putting the media microscope on her, so it takes the focus off her players. Like she's just, she's an elite coach for a reason. Like I don't have any gripe with what she's doing because you can tell she's just motivating her team. Like it,
Yeah, yeah.
like she got a great draw. Like I do not think Dawn Staley really believes that she's been slighted
Oh
because
yeah,
she
especially
knows
when
she
she gets
got
it
the
that
good
right.
draw.
Yeah, yeah,
She knows
yeah,
she
yeah,
got the good draw, but she can just, capitalize on, well, we're not the number one overall seed, so I'm gonna play that card.
and
It's
I'm going to
really
change my
smart. Like I
schedule.
have so much respect for her. And then, but the thing is, the national media saying, "Oh, Dawn Staley should feel disrespected." How do you get there? How do you
Yeah,
possibly land on that when South Carolina has this magic carpet, this red carpet rolled out in front of it, and USC gets the draw from hell, and the national media can't bring themselves to say, Lindsey Gottlieb might actually have a point here. That's really the thing. So I
yeah,
love
yeah,
I love what Dawn Staley did just from Dawn Staley's point of view. I think it's brilliant on her part, but the national media, that's the thing that really gets me. I just don't begin to
yeah,
understand how they think Dawn Staley in South Carolina got disrespected. I'd love to be disrespected the way South Carolina did because I have Duke instead of UConn as my 2 seed. I have a much better path to the Final Four. All right. So, anything else about the disrespect angle for USC? I mean, in terms of national view of the UConn Elite Eight matchup, or how that's shaping up, and just like the
yeah.
natural benefit of the doubt USC is not getting, despite beating UConn on the road in December, obviously not getting a whole lot of credit for that.
Yeah, I just like to Ellie Duncan, she does some good things. I mean, she did a dumb thing today, but yesterday on her podcast, I did retweet that too and thanked her. Is she did point out how, even if the seeding was right, and Texas was 3 and USC was 4, when you look at the big picture part of it, um, it wouldn't have made a difference if you switched them out, just for the UConn factor. And it's not, I want to make sure that everybody understands this. It's not that USC is afraid of UConn, because they're not. They want to play UConn and they want to show that they're the better team. It's the point that this game drew the most audience, the highest ratings of all of women's college basketball this season, right? And you would rather see Paige, two superstars, in the Final Four. Why would have a meet in the regional eight? And that's the point that I was trying to make, and you're trying to make overall. That makes sense as far as revenue, as far as audience, But we don't want to get into the whole SEC ESPN thing, but I just think that if people would stop and just not talk about um, seedings, and understand the bigger picture of all of this, because it's a business. When I look at things from a business perspective, I love sports, but it's always about business. And when you look at things, when you channel it outward and look at it from a business point of view, the business side of me says, hey, what's going to be the most audience generated game that we could put out there? Now, I think when I thought about it more, what they're saying is, or what they want to do, if everything goes to chalk, right? And USC ends up playing UCLA in the Final Four for the fourth time, and Texas ends up playing South Carolina for the fourth time, which is something we don't want. Then at the end of it, South Carolina gets either UCLA or UConn, both teams to which they lost. So they have a chance to avenge their major losses during the season, because UCLA beat them by 20 and UConn, belt smacked them, right? Two big losses. So I think when what they were looking at was, oh, that's going to be the big draw to see if South Carolina can avenge, their losses either against UCLA or UConn. I don't think that's going to be the big draw. I think it's superstars that are the big draw. It's always superstars, right? Don Staley is a superstar in her own right, but not her team doesn't have that one superstar, which is fine. But you know, not because it's just SC, but just because it's Juju and Paige, to me, in my opinion, that's the bigger draw. And when I'm looking at it from a business side of it, what's going to make me the most money as a business and what's going to create the biggest audience as a business is going to be Juju versus Paige. So that's where
Yeah,
I'm at with that.
this is not in any way an insult to Lauren Betts. She's a
Yeah,
terrific, amazing player. I mean, she's throwing down 25, 10, and 7, points, rebounds, blocks. She's a marvelous player, but it is not an insult to her to say that she does not move the needle nationally the way Juju Watkins does. I mean,
right.
that's not I'm
Or
not trying
Paige.
to not trying to say Lauren Betts is some kind of scrub or third-rate player. No. It's just in terms of buzz, national draw, national interest, they flock to Juju. And because Juju Watkins has carved out a niche for herself as a luminous, unique talent. I mean, there's been plenty of discussion about taking the torch from Caitlin Clark. That just Juju has been part of the conversation at a higher level. That's just reality. That's just the chatter, just the reality of who moves the needle in women's college basketball. So
Matt. Hey,
your
Matt.
your analysis is absolutely on point.
Yeah, but the whole thing about taking the torch from Caitlin Clark, my opinion on the matter, if you don't mind, is that there's no torch to be taken from Caitlin Clark. Juju Watkins is her own player. She's going to create her own torch to carry. So there's no comparison between Juju and Caitlin, and there never will be. And that needs to stop too, because Juju's her own person. She's her own superwoman, her own superstar, and she's gonna carry her own torch. So I get what you're saying, but I just think that we have to stop with all the comparisons and all that kind of stuff because Caitlin's Caitlin. She's a phenomenal player. She can shoot that three ball. But Juju is so different in so many ways. She can do so much more, and they're just two different players. So Juju's creating her own lane to be her own superstar. So sorry, somebody came to my window. Yeah. And I just wanted to clear that up.
Well said on your part. Well, someone's playing off the glass, maybe a little basketball
I think
theme.
maybe it was a
Uh,
bird or something.
we're invoking the window here. All right. So as we now move to the NCAA tournament, the women's NCAA tournament bracket, and we'll get to UNC Greensboro, USC's opponent, in just a little bit. But so the men's tournament has been like a staple of our sports culture in America for several decades. But the women's tournament, the growth of this tournament, the parity of this tournament. A decade ago, it was the Yukon Invitational, and you could hear the sports writers across the country say, "Okay, when are we going to get that balance, that depth, that parity in the bracket?" And the women's game has really come a long way over the past several years in terms of creating that balance, that depth. And so, when we talk about underdogs, when we talk about those mid-level seeds that could maybe make life difficult for some of the top seeds. And we look at the bracket, whether it's UCLA with Ole Miss and Baylor, or
Yeah.
in South Carolina's region, there's obviously Duke is the two, but you also have Maryland and Alabama as the 4-5 matchup. In Texas's region, there's Jeff Walz in Louisville as a 7 seed. You have Kim Barnes-Arico in Michigan as the 6. You have Kevin McGuff in Ohio State, whom USC knows well from the Big Ten. Ohio State's the 4 in Texas's region, and you have the Tennessee Volunteers as the number 5 seed. So lots of different names in the hat, and of course, we'll talk about USC's region pretty soon. But any of those mid-level seeds, Cece, that you have your finger on as maybe a team that could get hot and maybe cause some trouble for some of the higher seeds in the bracket.
You know, you know, I like Michigan. I mean, they're not, but I like Michigan a lot. And now they're going to play Iowa State because they play five guards. It's going to be interesting to see now that Iowa State won how they're going to handle Audie Crooks. But to me, when I watch Iowa State and Audie Crooks, she's a great post, but she doesn't play defense at all, and she doesn't, she stands. She's almost like she stays in the lava, right? She doesn't like to go outside the lava type of player. Um, so I just think that Michigan playing with five guards, they played with five guards all year. So they've learned how to play against taller posts like Rhea and Lauren and so on and so forth. So I think that Michigan is a team to watch, even though they're the higher seed. I think Michigan is a is going to win that Ohio State game. And then I think if Notre Dame beats Stephen F. Austin, I think they have a chance to beat Notre Dame. I really do. I think they're that good, because they're playing five guards. And now Olivia Miles and Hannah Hidalgo are great, but the way Michigan plays, they're so gritty, and they almost beat South Carolina at the beginning of the year, at the beginning of the season. So I really think, I'm keeping my eye on Michigan, and then up above, I want to, I'm anxious to see the Maryland Norfolk State game. With Diamond Johnson and Norfolk State, they might be the first HBCU to get out of the first round. Because they have some ballers on that team. So, and I don't really understand how Maryland got the 4 seed anyway. I think Ole Miss should have got that 4 seed, and Maryland should have been a 5 or a 6. So, so I'm anxious to see how Norfolk State plays, and Green Bay too. Green Bay's tough, so if they get going against Alabama, it's just interesting. But I'm really looking at Norfolk State, and I want to watch Maryland out of that region.
Green Bay's been a really tough first round opponent in recent years.
Yeah, yeah. And Scott Rueck and what he's done at Oregon State, you can't say enough about this guy and the way
Yeah.
his players believe in him as a coach. Everybody that was
Everybody.
anybody left that
Yes.
team, and he found a way to win the tourney title and get that team, which is a team of like, it's almost like the Bad News Bears, you know what I mean, of basketball. Remember the movie The Bad News Bears of baseball?
Yeah.
Like that was his team. You know what I mean? So the way he can get that team to get together and to play for each other is just unbelievable to watch. So if I was North Carolina, I would not want to be that team that plays Oregon State. Not that I think that Oregon State's going to win this game, because I don't think they are, but they're going to go out fighting. So just a testament to them. And then on the other side, I'm looking at I can't wait to watch the Murray State Iowa game. I don't know if you knew this, but Murray State, I think, is ranked second in the nation in scoring. I think they score like 84 points a game. Oklahoma's number one. Oklahoma's number one as far as possessions. I'm sorry, as far as possessions. Oklahoma's one. Murray State is two. So they get it and they go. I mean, they so
They're
that
not named the Racers for nothing.
yeah. Now Iowa, they're not like they were last year, where Caitlin Clark would get the ball and you see her go 40, get the rebound and she go 40 feet and shoot the ball. They're a different team than that. They still like to get it up and down the court, and they play a little bit better defense than they did last year. But I'm anxious to see how they contend with a Murray State that is just go, 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 go. So that's an underdog that I think could get Iowa. I think Murray State could really get Iowa. And you
And,
know,
and it's a game that's going to be very entertaining to watch. That should be played in the 80s at
yeah.
least, if not the 90s.
Here's I think the big upset though. Well, maybe not so big, but I think this can really, really happen. And that's Fairfield beating Kansas State in the first round. Fairfield, I mean, they're a good team. That's another team that plays all guards. They run a 5-out offense. Um, and they're a good team. And Kansas State, Aoki Lee is supposed to be back, but I don't care if she says that she's close to 100%. She's been out for so long. You're not going to be, your 100% is not going to be game ready 100%. So I'm anxious to see how Aoki Lee plays against Fairfield, or how much rest she's going to need, in between minutes. But I think Fairfield is a good team. You got to watch out for Fairfield. They're very well coached. And I think they could get Kansas State. So those are my, Murray State and Fairfield, and on this side, I'm watching Michigan and Oregon State and Norfolk State for the upsets. Grand Canyon, Grand Canyon's a good team too. I've been watching them the last 3 or 4 games. Grand Canyon's a good team, and Molly, the coach, she's being considered for several power power four conference team open coaching positions. So I'm anxious to see how they play against Baylor. They have a really good point guard, De La something. I forget her last name, Santiago, but she's really good the way she can play make, and she has a good mid-range jumper. And I mean, she's a true point guard, and she's a senior. And their team is older too; they're all seniors, so that's going to be a fun game to watch too against Baylor. So
So a lot of action in the 6-11, 5-12, and 4-13 games. Those are really the ones you've been spotlighting. So
yeah,
it all gets started. I mean, we've had the first four, and you mentioned Iowa State. So for those who just tuning in, Iowa State beat Princeton just before we began recording our podcast. Princeton outscores Iowa State 27-7 in the second quarter to take a 13
yeah.
point lead to the half, but then Iowa State responds with a 27-9 third quarter to take back the lead and beat Princeton. So Iowa State, as Cece mentioned, against Michigan in a 6-11 game. All right, so got everybody a taste of the first round, which starts on Friday. USC playing on Saturday against UNC Greensboro. Let's tell everybody a little bit about the Trojans' first round opponent. And while you pull up the numbers on UNCG, a little note that first off, the game's at noon local time in Los Angeles on Saturday, and it's on ABC, so network television coverage. But the other thing, Cece, is that a year ago, the Michigan-Kansas game, which was part of the sub-regional, that was the first game, and USC came second. And it's interesting that USC's now playing the first game so that Lindsey Gottlieb, Beth Burns, and everybody else, they can just do their media availability. And you're going to be there, and then they can do the scout for Mississippi State and Cal. So I like that. I like getting the first game and then having the other teams play the second game at Galen over the weekend. But anyway, tell everybody about UNCG, what you think about UNC Greensboro.
Yeah, looking at the stats now, the way I pulled up the stats, I pulled them up for like quad one games and conference games, so I can get a true, of how do they play against better competition. And just by looking at the stats, by their pace of play, they don't like to run. They don't like to get up and down. They're not a transition team, which means they're a half court offense. I think they do have a player on their team that is 6'4", but I don't recall, and I think they tried to feed the ball into her, but I don't recall how good she is, what she averages per game. I can pull that up if you need me to, but defensive rebounds, they're not a very good defensive rebounding team against quad one games, and then um, I'm trying to find their pace of play. See, their pace of play is only a 62, which means they don't like to run at all, and that's one rated, on one across all of the NCAA, one percentile. So that tells you that they're a very slow team. So I think one, they haven't faced a defense like ours, and two, they're not going to understand how to handle our transition because I think we're going to come out and press that team. We're going to get them all riled up because they haven't experienced a defense like ours before, or Juju Watkins or a Kiki area fan. So I think, we should win this game fairly easy. Um, but you never know. I mean, they like to shoot it. They like to shoot it. Most of their shots come right around the rim. I mean, they're just not good anyplace else. Even in the paint, they only shoot 28% from the field. So, and that's look, I'm not saying that in a negative way because they had to do something in order to get to the tournament, right? They had to win their conference championship, which they did. But they didn't win their conference. So they came into their conference tournament and just played really well and they won their conference tournament. But I'm looking for USC to just come out and run them off the court because one, USC has a lot to prove right now. They're really being disrespected in this whole scheme of things. So I think they're going to want to come out and show. And this is going to be a good practice game for them to really prepare themselves from the second round on, because in the second round is when it really starts for them. I mean, because they're going to get Cal and Mississippi State, which are both going to be tough.
If there's just one thing, just thinking about this game from Lindsey Gottlieb's vantage point, if there's one thing you want to get from this game, other than, of course, the win, like just in terms of like developing something going into the second round on Monday, what's that one thing that you'd put at the top of the list for USC?
Consistency. And well, two things, consistency and efficiency. But you know what I'm interested in seeing? One of the things that I'm interested in seeing is, throughout the season we saw, Juju getting doubled and tripled and USC is used to that, right? I want to see if they're throwing in anything different to handle that double or triple team. If they got something in their bag that they didn't show all season, that now they're going to say, okay, you guys want to double or triple team you, this is what we're going to do. You know what I mean? And in order for something like that to happen, Kiki has to be on, and so does Kennedy. You know. So, but I'm interested to see whether it's within their 4 out, 1 in offensive structure within that system. What is she implementing? What is she putting in to counteract how teams are going to come at you? Because there's a blueprint on how to defend USC if you want to take them out, and USC knows that. So USC's got to be thinking, okay, they see our game, they see our game plan, they have the blueprint on us. We're going to do this to counteract that. That's what I want to see. I want to see if they're going to do something different or if they're just going to go in there and, yeah, okay, we know that what they're going to do, and we're just going to continue to run the same thing and hope that everybody is on.
Now, my question for you would simply be, hey, do you need to show that against a 16 seed, or do you wait to save that for the second round?
I don't know. I don't think so, but I still want to see it. You know what I mean? Because I,
Sure.
I don't I don't think they'll have problems, but maybe they'll do it to practice it. Maybe nobody will catch it. You know what I mean? Maybe they'll just do one part of what they got in their bag. Just I'm just interested to see, because it's tourney time and you got a tough bracket and you got some teams in there that know the blueprint of Juju. Cal, like I said, Cal, they played against Juju. You know what I mean? Kentucky's a good team. He's a smart coach. UConn has seen our offense. So what are you going to do to counteract that?
Going to be fascinating. Here's my other really big question for this game, and that is that Kaylee Heckel, as we know, was instrumental in the win at Maryland in January. Like she really helped this team in a big way in the middle of the season. Last few weeks, it's been a different story. It's been a struggle. She didn't get a whole lot of minutes. Malia Samuels stepped up in a big way against UCLA, also against Michigan at the Big Ten tournament. Heckel not getting as many minutes, and it's not because Lindsey Gottlieb just suddenly had this change of heart. It's because Kaylee Heckel hasn't been playing as well. So to me, how realistic is it to expect that Kaylee Heckel can use this game against a 16 seed to perhaps get some confidence back, get some minutes, and kind of regain the flow and become part of the parade again, entering the NCAA tournament? What do you think about Kaylee Heckel in this game against UNC Greensboro?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. Because there's been talk on Twitter saying we need to get Heckel back in there, but my question is, Malia Samuels has been playing so well. Now, where do we fit K9 in the rotation? And we do need her. Like if we have to play against Kentucky, Georgia Amore, we're gonna need her because Malia won't be able to do that by herself. Whoever guards Amore. So yes, these. So excuse me. Sorry. So yeah, I think we need to get her back in the rotation somehow, some way. But I think where K9 struggles, and this is just my opinion, is K9 is an attacking guard, right? She's a point first point guard. And I think when we look at somebody coming in off the bench in a rotation, uh, USC wants a point guard that's a pass first point guard. Which Malia Samuels does a lot better job of. She's a pass first point guard, and she'll take her open shots when she has them. But you don't see Malia forcing the drive or anything like that. And I think that's just part of maturity and growth with K9. I think she'll get there. But I think in high school she was just used to scoring when she can. And I don't think that as a team That's not the focus with this team because we have Juju, we have Kennedy, we have scorers. So if K9 can come in the game and understand, you know, when to take her shots and when not to take her shots and play well defensively, then I think she'll see more time. But if she goes in there and she does what she does, and K9's great, right? She's speedy, and this is no disrespect. I'm just saying as looking at what the team needs. So yeah, should she get in the UNC Greensboro game for confidence, for confidence reason? Yes, but when she gets in that game, is she still going to be the person to say, "Hey, I want to prove that I can do this too," or I'm gonna play my role, that I'm being asked to play? And I think if she does the latter, she'll see more time. That's just my honest opinion.
Absolutely. So noon Saturday in Los Angeles, you're going to be there in the Galen Center, ABC Sports. We'll have the broadcast. It's going to be a fun time as US. And this is the great thing about the women's tournament. Top teams host the first two rounds, so it's just such a powerful incentive to be great during the regular season. So USC is going to be hosting a lot of NCAA tournament games. That's part of
Yeah,
the
so
benefit of the resurgence of USC basketball. Going to be a lot of home NCAA tournament games for the foreseeable future.
yeah, I'll be there. For all of them. I'll be there for the pregame press conferences as well. I'll be there for the practices as well because I got the NCAA credentials, so I'll be able to participate in all that stuff. Um, hey, I'm gonna throw this out there. If there's any particular questions you guys want me to ask the players in the pregame press conference, if I get the opportunity, shoot me a DM. Not saying that I will, depending on the question, if I think it's appropriate or not. Um, but hey, if there's some real questions that you want me to ask, I will. But keep them professional and keep them classy, and have them directed towards the player or the game at hand. And if I get the opportunity, I'll ask. If I don't, I'm sorry.
Let's tell people what you have planned for your Substack and also for your YouTube channel as USC returns to the women's NCAA
Yeah.
tournament.
Yeah, I'm working on a story right now for Substack on the changing landscape of women's basketball and the impact that it has especially had this year and the financial impact that it's had. So I'm working on that. Hopefully, I'll get that out tomorrow. For YouTube, I'm going to do a fun video where I'm bringing up other analyst brackets and either applauding them or questioning their decisions. And so that should be out sometime tomorrow night. So make sure you watch that. And and then, like I said, I'll be at all the games, doing the pre games, going to the practices and the post game press conferences as well. So looking forward to that. It's going to be a long weekend.
Yep. And so for press conferences, you want to go to Cece's YouTube channel. Let's talk USC women's basketball. Cece's been really good about sharing press conferences, comments from coaches, players, just a gold mine of information at Cece's YouTube channel. And we hope you'll
Yeah,
subscribe, you'll like the videos, and that you'll share them with friends, and also get that notification reminder so that you know
yeah.
when you have new content coming at you from CC Clay. CC, anything
Hey,
else?
so yeah,
Yeah.
real quick, I just also want to, I also want to make sure that I give everybody who watches the YouTube channel, everybody that's been reading my Substack, um, I just want to give you guys your flowers. Thank you for watching my videos. Thank you for going to the channel. It is growing very fast. Even when I post these podcasts, we're seeing growth in the podcast as well. And, it's from you guys liking and sharing. So please continue to as Matt said, like it and share. It's most important that you share it. Tell your friends, your uncles, your aunts, your grandparents, your children. I don't care. Tell these people to subscribe to the channel. We want to grow it um, as much as possible so we can start doing more things with the USC women's basketball team. That's my hope. So let's grow this channel together and be a part of something great.
It's a great way to end our show as USC comes back to the women's NCAA tournament. So, CC and I, we will be at you after the UNC Greensboro game, whether that's going to be Saturday night or Sunday. We're not sure yet, but we're definitely going to be giving you a show between the first and second rounds And then our coverage will continue through the weekend at the Galen Center. So it's a Saturday, Monday bracket. USC first round on Saturday, second round scheduled it will almost certainly be a night game on Monday. Cece and I will have you covered here on the Trojans Wired podcast. We'll see you after the first round. Thanks for listening and watching.
Fight on, let's go.